So what is the most important law of persuasion? There's 12 of them. I've identified those in maximum influence. The law we're going to talk about today is the law that helps people persuade themselves. You already know the moment somebody senses you're trying to sell them or persuade them, even though they need it, want it, like it, can afford it, they're going to resist you. Using this law of dissonance, this cognitive dissonance helps people persuade themselves. Let's do it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Thanks for being here. This is Maximize Your Influence, Kurt Mortensen, and podcast 548. We're going to talk about how to double down on that distance. Use that double dog distance, if you want to call it that. Probably the most complicated law, but the most important law to really understand and use to help people persuade themselves, to help people sell themselves. Hope you're having an awesome week. You're making things happen. You're achieving your goals. You are happier. You're more persuasive. You're making more money. You're more successful. You're changing the world. Whatever your goal is, I'm glad you're on track. Glad you're making things happen. Hey, if you're off track, get back on track, make things happen. Really, you have to understand that with goals or what you want to accomplish in life, it's like an airplane. An airplane's off course most of the time, but it corrects. And even with your goals, your objectives, you might get off course every once in a while. That's okay. You can adjust, revise your game plan, and make those things that you want happen. So let's start off with that persuasion blunder. So, a while back, I don't know the exact date, but it was the end of the year, and I had a business partner. We had a pretty good year, and we needed some write-offs, and we decided to get a couple of cars before the end of the year to write it off. We decided on a particular SUV, and we just needed to get them, and it was end of December. And it was a cold and snowy night, and it was probably close to the time where this car dealership was probably going to shut down. There were no sales reps out walking around. They were all in the warm showroom. We walk in, and they looked at us, and they looked at their watches. You could tell they wanted to go home. And we were pretty young at the time, maybe the type of people that wouldn't get this type of car. And nobody was willing to help us. In fact, they made the rookie, the person with the least experience, go outside in the cold to help us. They prejudged us. They didn't think we were serious. They didn't think we were going to do it. And it was pretty simple for this new rookie salesperson. We want this one and this one. Can you write it up? It was that simple. We had done our research. We knew what we wanted. We chose our colors. And it was that simple. Wrote up 2 cars in less than 10 minutes. With all the other salespeople looking on with their jaws open. The lesson here is you can never prejudge. You never know who's going to buy. You never know that maybe they can refer someone to you that can buy. Everybody you meet can buy from you or know someone that can. You have to give everyone 100%. Now, sometimes you're right with your prejudging. They're not the type of person. But hey, if you treat everyone like they're a purchaser or know a purchaser or know someone that can do business with you, that changes the game. Because when you prejudge, it takes energy from your presentation. They can feel that you don't care. Don't prejudge. And you've heard stories of people go to a Ferrari dealership in grubby clothes to see how they're treated. Or even worse, at car dealerships, when they give all the attention to the man and ignore the woman, maybe it's the woman that's the decision maker. Maybe it's the woman with the money. They will walk when you prejudge and focus on the wrong person and don't give them 100% of your energy. So don't prejudge because you're never right 100% of the time. So that is our persuasion blunder of the week. Which brings us to listener email.
Oh, boy!
And remember, send me an email, or if we use anything on the podcast, you get a free membership to influenceuniversity.com. That's the archives. That's my library. Everything I've created is on influenceuniversity.com and home of the 52-week advanced persuasion course. So to see the studies, for more information, to get the links, go to maximizeyourinfluence.com. That's also the home of your free Persuasion IQ assessment. So this comes from Thomas. He's in the United States, Wisconsin, looks like Milwaukee. He says, Kurt, of your 12 laws of persuasion, maximum influence, what is the most important? Now, Thomas, I have my favorites. Law of connectivity, law of esteem. I feel they're all important, kind of like children. You love them all, right? But as I mentioned earlier, the most important to really understand human nature and ability to persuade is the law of dissonance. That comes from Leon Fessinger from Stanford University, who came up with the concept of cognitive dissonance. But before we take that deep dive, let's go into a study on dissonance. Kind of an interesting one from Jesse Baring, Kurt Gray, and David Jorkland. They looked at cognitive dissonance and atheists. Now, what is cognitive dissonance? So when someone has a conflict between their beliefs and their actions, it leads them to change their attitudes or behaviors to reduce that discomfort. You cannot do something against your belief and not have it create psychological discomfort. It's kind of an inner tug of war mentally. You believe this, but you did this. Let's say you believe in recycling, but then you throw that aluminum can in the trash can. You feel uneasy. That's inconsistent with your beliefs. That's cognitive dissonance. You cannot live with that. So you'll either get that can out of the trash can or say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I usually recycle. But you cannot live with that tension. So they had people who were atheists that didn't believe in God, and they were trying to get them to sign a contract that they were willing to sell their soul for a small amount of money. So basically, self-identified atheists, that was their belief, were asked to sign a contract that read, I hereby sell my soul after my death for the sum of $2. They didn't believe in God. They didn't believe in life after death, so what's the big deal? I mean, the money was nominal, just showing that the transaction really had no value. But despite their professed atheism, most participants hesitated and showed discomfort in signing the contract. So this reaction shows that even people who reject the existence of a soul or life after death experience psychological tension, that cognitive dissonance, when asked to do something against their stated beliefs. So the study found that cultural conditioning and our intuitions about a soul give us cognitive dissonance to reject the belief that there's life after death. So they found even in this situation there was dissonance, there was hesitation, there was discomfort, even though they had a belief that there's no existence of a soul. So dissonance happens when there's a psychological conflict between two contradictory beliefs or attitudes and what we say and what we do. So let's take a deeper dive. This is an internal kind of a tug of war. When you feel this dissonance, this psychological tension, this rubber band stretching inside, you cannot live with it. You have to deal with it. It is uncomfortable. So to reduce this discomfort, we change our behavior, we change our beliefs, even justifying your effort. If it's harder to achieve something like waiting in a long line, you're more likely to value it more because that justifies the effort you put in. Foot in the door, we talked about last week, FITD. You begin with a small request. Every yes you get, the next yes becomes easier and easier. You've said yes to this, so that next yes becomes easier and faster. Another example. When I was teaching persuasion on a college level, one of the things I would do is assign them one of the 12 laws for a group project. This one group decided to do a group project on dissonance. And they did a little research, and they found that 97% of people had a belief that they should wash their hands after the restroom. Now, we know that's not true. It's way lower than that. We won't talk about the actual numbers, but they decided to go to the university library to hang out in the restroom to find people that didn't wash their hands, both male and female. And when they caught someone, they follow out into the hallway and say, wait, stop, you forgot to wash your hands. This is dissonance. They had a belief they should wash their hands. They'd just been caught. And this is probably actually stretching the rubber band too far where the people will attack you. We'll talk about that. Say, hey, wait, you forgot to wash your hands. And the results were fascinating. Not one person said, "Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate your effort." No, they said, "Pervert, call security. You didn't see me. I had hand sanitizer." Again, nobody said thank you and returned to wash their hands. That's too much cognitive dissonance. So when we are inconsistent with our cognitions, our beliefs, our attitudes and thoughts, it makes us feel uncomfortable. And we'll do anything to adjust our behavior or our thoughts or our attitudes to regain that mental consistency. We need to feel congruent and appear consistent with our beliefs. You see, the human brain needs to be right. It's easier for us to justify what we're doing than to admit we were wrong. And as you know, the boomerang effect, you back someone to a corner, prove they're wrong, they hold on to their beliefs, their thoughts, their attitudes even more. Let's say you believe stealing is wrong, but you ate a grape at the store. Well, you could have tested for quality. That's how you reduce your dissonance. Hey, you have a belief that lying's wrong, but this white lie, it's okay to protect people's feelings. Even though they didn't look good in those clothes, we need to protect their feelings. So as a persuader, you can strategically use this to gently stretch the rubber band, find their beliefs, and it makes them easier to persuade. But when you push a little too hard, stretch that little rubber band too much, you're going to see things like denial. That's when you deny there's a problem or demean the source. So if you call someone out for always being late, in their mind they're not late, they're going to attack you. They're going to deny there's a problem, that it's very rare. They're going to attack you. Why are you attacking me? You're such a mean person. That's denial. Some people do the reframe, where they reinterpret, change the meaning. This is what it really means. Well, being late for family things is okay. It's the business things that are important. Some people do the search, where you find other people that are doing it and makes it okay. Hey, you're late. Well, President Obama was late to everything. Or Uncle Frank smoked for 42 years and he's healthy as a horse. Finding other people, you search and find that social validation. And what we're really good at is rationalizing, where you find excuses why it's okay. It's not my fault. There was traffic. There was construction. I was late, but again, not my fault. Or the one you're looking for as a persuader is that modification. You're right. I need to fix this. For example, somebody asks you to help them eat healthy, to keep them on track to stay to their New Year's diet. And you come home, they're eating a box of donuts. You're saying, hey, what are you doing? Denial would be, hey, you're fatter than I am. You're always writing me. You're always mean to me. Remember the time you did this? You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Or the reframe. Yeah, I know I asked you to, but I'm not going to start that diet after this big project. So you reframe it. You change the meaning. You do the search. No, I found a study that exercise was bad for your knees and your health, that it's actually better to eat donuts. I'm sure you can find a study like that. Or rationalize, no, I had a salad for lunch. I'm okay to eat this donut. I'm way below my caloric intake for the day. So what can you do to stretch the rubber band? Let's go through these examples again. This is when you stretch the rubber band too much, create a little too much dissonance. Let's say you went to the doctor. The doctor's like, whoa, blood work. Wow. Commit to me no more fatty foods. And when you make a commitment, you have a belief that you keep your commitments, and you do pretty well for a couple weeks. But you've had a bad day at work, your willpower battery's low, you open the fridge, nothing's there, you open the freezer, light comes in, it's like you hear music as you see that pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Let's say it's Tonight Dough, Chunky Monkey, or Cherry Garcia. I'm a fan of the ice cream. As you reach for that, you remember your commitments, your belief, what you told the doctor, that rubber band stretches, it creates that dissonance. And let's go through the things that could happen. Denial. That doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. They're fatter than I am. They're the chunky monkey. Anyway, I heard they were a bad doctor, right? You attack the person, you demean the source, or you reframe as, no, the doctor meant burgers and fries. That's bad fat. This has calcium. This is good fat. What's the doctor want me to get? Osteoporosis? Or you search on the internet where you can find anything about someone who was on the ice cream diet and lost 22 pounds. Or the rationalization might be, well, if I do 10 push-ups for every bite I take, I'll break even, I'll be okay. Or the modified, nope, I'm not going to do it, and you put it back. Get as many yeses, get as many commitments as you can. And the other key is just to make sure that you don't tell them that they're wrong. Just ask the right questions, lead them down the path where they can see that they're wrong, that it's against their belief. That is when you can use dissonance as a persuader. Let me give you an example. There was a study done at Jones Beach. This is near New York City. Summertime, right? Somebody would come down, put down a blanket, put down this little electronic device for music, and then they would get up and just walk to the boardwalk, leaving this valuable electronic device. And here comes this thief in on the study, known as a Confederate, steals this electronic device while people were watching. And they just want to see what percent of the people would risk personal harm to stop the thief. Well, 20%. Not very good. Then they just did one more thing. As they stood up, they would turn to the person next to them that was closest to them and say, "Hey, will you watch my things?" "Sure." "Oh, here comes the thief." Now it went from 20% to 95%. They have a commitment. They said yes. They're the type of person that keeps their commitment. That's their belief. 20% to 95% by getting the yes. Now, there's a negative side to this too. When the American Cancer Society calls up and they're just doing a survey, asking some questions. They don't identify who they are, but they ask some questions. A survey. Hey, why not do a survey? And part of this survey, there's a question. Hey, if the American Cancer Society ever called you and asked you door-to-door in your neighborhood to raise money, would you do that? And you're like, survey? Sure, why not? Yes. Fast forward 2 weeks, who's calling? The American Cancer Society. Ask you to go door-to-door in your neighborhood, 700% increase in volunteers. That's probably crossing the line just a little bit, or even worse. Someone knocks on your door and say, "Hey, doing a quick survey. Want to know about your travel habits." And you say, "Really? How many times a year do you cruise? And how do you fly? Where's your favorite place to go? Where's your favorite vacation spot?" And people tend to embellish. "Oh, I go here on this many cruises. It's my favorite spot. I go there all the time." And then they say, "Oh, well, based on your responses, you qualify for the super duper travel club." And it kind of gets you in a bind when you embellished everything, and people tend to purchase. So scarcity could create dissonance when there's limited time offers. As long as it's real and believable, this urgency creates a conflict between the customer's desire for the product and their desire to delay the purchase. So to reduce that dissonance, they could buy right away. Free trials, get people involved for 30, 60 days. They start enjoying the benefits. They might experience dissonance for counseling. To reduce dissonance, showing testimonials, positive reviews, social validation can resolve doubts. You can reduce dissonance with guarantees, even a personal promise. Hey, you get 30 days, 60 days, it's going to work. Charities use this. They find the belief that you believe in giving back. Life insurance, a belief in taking care of your family. Healthcare, being around for your children, your grandchildren. Investing, taking care of your loved ones. Being safe. FOMO is Dissonance 101, the fear of missing out. So what you want to do is when you're trying to persuade someone, find their belief. Ask questions to kind of dig a little deeper. Make sure you're getting yeses along the way. You're getting commitments. Create a little dissonance and offer the solution. So let's say you're doing a performance review. Jim's late all the time. It's not treating coworkers nice. You say, "Hey, you like working here?" Right? You find out their belief. They want to stay working there. They like working there. It says, "Do you want to keep working here?" Get the yes. It says, "Well, based on these numbers and the 42% of the time that you're late, what do you think's going to happen if we don't do anything?" "Oh, I'll probably get fired." And then you offer the solution would be the path of using dissonance in the right way. So there you have it. That's the simplified, quick version of Law of Dissonance. You want to take that deeper dive, go to Maximum Influence, check out Cognitive Dissonance. It's a little more complex than the other laws, but when you really understand this is human nature 101. We cannot live with ourselves when we do something against our beliefs. So when you find those beliefs, that they're a quick decision maker, that they want to be more healthy, that they want to start investing, they want to take care of their loved ones, fill in the blank, lead them down the path with some questions, get those commitments, stretch the rubber band a little bit, and then offer that solution. So this is podcast 548. Click on that link in your email or go to the website, Maximize Your Influence, and get the lifetime version of InfluenceUniversity.com. Or just go to influenceuniversity.com/special You get 90% off and a lifetime membership of everything I've created on persuasion, motivation, influence, negotiation, mindset, success psychology, all in one place. You can follow the structured program or start with the tools you need the most right now. So make it happen. Tell your family, friends, and enemies about the podcast. Become a better influencer. Learn how to negotiate. Learn human nature and go out and persuade with power.